Hey guys, Chris Cookin Nashville here. Today we are tackling keto and carnivore manicotti. This is my carnivore manicotti version, but I'm also going to have a friend on the show today. Say hello to Victor from Southern Keto. Say hi to everybody, Victor.
Hey everybody, and hey Chris and Ash, I appreciate y'all inviting me on here for this jam session. And I look forward to showing y'all my keto manicotti.
All right guys, this is the carnivore version right here in front of me, and I'm going to let Victor show you his keto version here in just a minute. But this carnivore manicotti looks absolutely fantastic. I think this is probably one of the best pasta recipes I've ever created, and I think Ash is probably really going to enjoy this as well. So we're going to let her dig in, and then I'm going to show you how to make my carnivore version of manicotti, and then we'll let Victor show us the keto version. All right, let's see what Ash thinks of the carnivore manicotti.
All right. It looks amazing. It literally looks like something out of a magazine. Just perfect. Smells like heaven.
Smells really good in here.
That's good.
She's only been watching me cook this for like an hour and a half because of filming and everything. It takes forever, so she's got to be hungry by this point.
Oh my, wow. Hold on. Let's take one more bite. So good.
I think it's a great recipe.
That's an understatement. This is probably the best pasta thing you've ever made. It literally just tastes like pasta. I love manicotti. This feels like something that I would have paid $35 for at Olive Garden, but it wasn't $35, and it's better than what I would have gotten there. I'm gonna just keep eating this because I'm in heaven. I mean, you nailed this one, boo-boo.
All right, so Ash really enjoys the manicotti. So let me show you guys how we make this. Now, you can top this with any kind of sauce you want. If you want to do a more keto or ketovore kind of a thing, you can. If you want to actually fill them with something more keto or ketovore, you totally can. But this is the totally carnivore version with a carnivore sauce. I did throw some herbs and spices in it, but otherwise it's all animal product, and this has Italian sausage and ricotta cheese, mozzarella cheese, Parmesan cheese as the filling. So let me show you my carnivore version, and then I'm going to throw the ball over to Victor, let him play in his court, and show you guys his keto version. Let's take a look at the carnivore manicotti. Here's all of the ingredients we're going to need for this carnivore manicotti. I have 3/4 cup of sour cream in my blender. I have 3 eggs. I have 1 tablespoon of unflavored gelatin. I have 3 tablespoons of egg white powder, 2 tablespoons of butter I'm going to melt, and a 1/2 cup of shrimp. If you have a shrimp allergy, use whitefish or raw chicken breast. So the shrimp or whatever meat you use goes in along with the eggs on top of the sour cream in our blender. We're going to get all of these things in here, and then we put our powders on top. So 3 tablespoons of the egg white powder, 1 tablespoon of the beef gelatin, my 2 tablespoons of melted butter, and then I'm going to go ahead and blend this up really well. Now I'm going to blend this for a good 30 to 45 seconds on high because I want to make sure that it is completely liquefied and easy to work with. Once that's done, we can turn that back down, and you can see we have a purely liquefied mixture. This batter, I'm going to just put it into a bowl so I can work with it a little bit more easily. And I'm going to start preheating my crepe pan over a medium-low heat. I'm going to then work on my filling while that's preheating. This is a pound of Italian sausage that has been cooked. I'm also going to put in a cup of ricotta cheese, about a cup of mozzarella cheese that I shredded myself, and about 3 tablespoons of Parmesan cheese that I ground up. You can use more or less. 1 egg is going to go into that with a pinch of salt. And then these seasonings are optional, but I'm going to put in about a teaspoon of garlic powder and about 20 fresh basil leaves. You can adjust this however you like for your tastes. All we need to do is put this in the food processor, pulse it all together until we have a homogeneous mixture, and that is going to be our filling done, ready to be placed in a bowl so that we can fill our manicotti once we're done making the noodles. Now that my crepe pan is preheated, I'm going to use the spreader if necessary to make some nice thin noodles. This has been lightly greased with a little bit of lard, and I'm going to put a ladle of my batter in the middle of the pan and spread this out. I want this thin enough that it is easy to work with, but not so thin that it starts to get crispy. So you can see I'm going to spread that around, and then once it starts to cook, I'm going to loosen the edges very, very gently with my pancake turner. When it is done enough for me to flip it over, I'll flip it over. You can see I'm not putting more color on it than necessary, but if it gets a little golden brown color, that's okay. Once it breaks free and slides around on the second side, we can take it off and we can repeat the process. So I'm going to put another ladle of the batter on there, spread that out, and then once that starts to cook, we go around, we loosen up the edges. You can see it starts looking a little dry on top, and that's when we know it's going to be ready to loosen. So we loosen up those edges, and we're going to let that cook enough that we can flip it over. It's got a little bit of a golden brown, but not much. And we're just going to keep repeating this process. Now, in the meantime, I'm going to make the sauce, and I'm going to throw a couple of tablespoons of butter into a pan. I'm going to put in about a half of a cup of cream, and then I'm going to add in maybe a teaspoon here of dry oregano, teaspoon of garlic powder, and maybe a half teaspoon of white pepper. I just really like this flavor, and a small pinch of salt. We're going to start whisking this and cooking this down, and the bubbles are going to start looking frothy, and then the bubbles are going to start getting bigger, and you can see it's going to leave a trace behind the whisk. When I whisk through this mixture, you can see the pan underneath of the whisk. That's when we know it's getting thick. So I'm going to pull it off of the heat, and then once it's off of the heat, I'm going to add in a tablespoon or two of Parmesan cheese and just whisk that through to help thicken that up. That is going to be a beautiful cream sauce to go over top of our manicotti, and you can see it is nice and thick and rich. Now all we have to do is take these manicotti crepe noodles that I made. You can see they're very flexible and beautiful. We're going to put in the mixture, fold the sides up and push it down. That'll stick it, and then we roll it up together, and we're going to stick that into a casserole dish. I'm just going to continue doing this. So we put the filling in, stick the sides down, roll it forward underneath of itself, and make it almost like a little burrito. So we're going to keep doing this, get them all wrapped up, and then we can put them in our casserole dish to prepare for baking. Once all of my manicotti are rolled, I'm going to pour the cream sauce over the top. Just get all of that in there and spread that out with the spatula. And then I'm going to come back once I have all of those coated. I'm going to add a sprinkle of mozzarella cheese. Is about a quarter of a cup to a half cup. Use as much or a little as you want. And then I'm going to put about a tablespoon sprinkle of Parmesan over the top as well. This is going to help everything brown, and it's going to be beautiful and crusty. Then we're going to take this. We're going to come over here to the oven, which has been preheated. I'm going to go ahead and put those on the middle rack. I've got my oven at 425, and I'm going to bake this for 25 minutes. And once that is done, I'm actually going to turn off my timer and turn my oven up to 475 to finish browning it. I'm going to set this for another 5 minutes. You can see the golden brown is starting, but we're going to brown this for another 5 minutes, and it's going to come out of the oven looking golden brown, bubbly, and beautiful all the way through. Now I'm going to set a timer for 10 minutes to let this cool and solidify just a little bit so we can get it out of the pan properly, and then all we need to do is plate it up and enjoy. All right, so now that you guys have seen the carnivore version, let's go ahead and throw it over to Victor. Victor, what do you got for us for the keto manicotti today?
Oh man, I don't know how I can top that one. It looks absolutely amazing. I might have to make that one right after I make this one. So for my keto version of the manicotti, I'm going to use my keto marinara sauce that I make, and I'm going to do the manicotti two ways. One is super easy, using one of my favorite products you can get in just about any grocery store. And then the other one's going to use something that you may not expect for the manicotti noodle. Now for my filling, I'm going to use ricotta cheese, the mozzarella cheese, either a pecorino, a Parmigiano Reggiano, or just a Parmesan cheese, as well as a couple other things for the seasoning. And the key to this recipe is using simple but high quality ingredients and love. Can't forget the love. So let me show you the ingredients that you're gonna need to put together my keto manicotti. Now the first thing you wanna do is preheat your oven to 400 degrees, and we're gonna make these manicotti 2 different ways. So the first thing you're gonna need are these egg life wraps, and you can find those at just about any grocery store. The other thing is gonna be this chicken breast, and it's really finely sliced. And you wanna make sure it's thinly sliced and not shaved. You're gonna need some ground beef, and if you follow my channel at all, you know I love this 85-15 grass-fed beef that you can find at Aldi. You're gonna need some mozzarella cheese, and make sure you get the low moisture kind for that nice cheese pull. You're gonna need some eggs. 2 eggs in fact, and don't let them roll away. You're gonna need some ricotta cheese. Make sure you get the full fat, whole milk ricotta, none of that low fat stuff. You're gonna need some Parmesan cheese, and spinach is optional, but I love putting spinach in my manicotti. You're also gonna need some parsley flakes. I get this at Sam's. And you're gonna need a great marinara sauce. This is the one I make. You can find the video to how I make this over on my channel. Maybe Chris will put a link down in the description, but that's also where the manicotti recipe will be. So you're gonna need to take a medium saucepan, and we're just gonna go ahead and start browning that ground beef. Now, like I said, the simple ingredients, but high quality, get the best you can afford. We're gonna go ahead and start grating our cheeses. And I always grate my cheese fresh, because who knows what they put in there to keep it from caking up in the bag. The most common thing they use is wood pulp, so if you're deficient in wood, if you haven't been eating enough trees lately, then give that bag cheese a shot. If not, it takes a few seconds to grate it, and it'll save you some money too. Now don't forget about that beautiful grass-fed ground beef, or whatever kind of ground beef you're using. Just give it a little stir. Cook it to however you want it, but I like to cook mine all the way brown before I put my sauce in. And I just season it with a little bit of pepper, a little bit of salt. Super simple ingredients, high quality ingredients, but it makes all the difference. Now we're just gonna take our eggs, and we're gonna use whole eggs in this. And look at that beautiful color on those eggs. If you buy local eggs that are pasture raised, if you can find somebody near you that does that, it's usually cheaper than the grocery store, but super high quality and much more nutritious. Or the ones at Aldi are good also. We're just gonna beat this egg up because we're gonna start making the filling now. So if you've watched any of my videos, you know this is my favorite mixing bowl. Now there's quite a story behind this, and if you know it, leave it down in the comments, because I know some of you love to see this bowl. Now we're gonna go ahead and add in some cheese. Now like I said, if you'll go and find my marinara sauce recipe, you'll find the recipe for the manicotti there also. But we're just gonna do about half the cheese from each one, half the mozzarella, half the Parmesan inside the filling. And then we'll pour in the eggs just to kind of hold everything together. Now remember, simple but great ingredients. One thing that I like to add in is a little bit of parsley to the filling. You may not miss it, but it's just one of those layers of flavor that just adds to the whole complexity of the dish. For being so simple, it really adds a lot to it. And then I'm just gonna season it with some salt and pepper. And then let's get to making these manicottis. And now for the fun part. You get to mix up all this filling. I've seen some people do it with their hands before, but just for the purposes of this video, I didn't want to gross anybody out or anything, so figured I'd just use a fork on this. But just make sure you mix it up really well. Make sure that egg is all combined in there and that it's a great cohesive mix. I'll taste this. If you're scared of eggs, don't taste it. But I always like to taste it at this point just to make sure I don't need any more salt or pepper. Now this ground beef is done. So once it's cooked to however you like it, you can brown it a little more if you like on the outside. But it's time to add in the marinara sauce. And this is just really a matter of preference. If you like a saucier manicotti, add more sauce. If you like a drier manicotti, don't add as much sauce. It's your kitchen, do whatever you like. We like it saucy, so I'm throwing down this sauce. So first we'll take our egg life wraps and just go right in the middle with a nice plop of that filling. Now this is not rocket science. You can put as much or as little as you want on there. I like a lot. I'm putting a lot on there, and you just fold it over like that. These egg life wraps hold really well. And then when I put them in the dish to cook, I'm gonna flip them upside down just to make sure they don't fall apart. You could put a little egg on there if you wanted to kind of hold them together a little bit, but it seems to work just fine if you flip them upside down. So we'll do 2 of those that way. And then, like I said earlier, we like doing spinach on ours. So I'm going to add some spinach into the rest of the filling. The first ones were going to be my son's, and so he does not do the spinach. I've always believed in Popeye. Popeye had it going on. Other than he needed to hit the gym and do leg day. I've always believed him. I like the spinach. So for the other ones, we're just going to use this thinly sliced deli chicken breast. It's kind of unexpected, but the people that tried it said they actually like it better than the Egg Life wraps. The Egg Life wraps are a little bit thicker, and of course these are thin. Once you mix it all together, you bake it. It's got the sauce on top. You really can't tell the difference in that and a regular noodle. And then this next part is super simple. You just grab it and roll it over just like that. And again, the folded part I'm going to put at the bottom. So it looks just like regular manicotti. Once you put the sauce on there, you're not going to know the difference between that and a noodle. And now just take a casserole dish or a regular baking dish, whatever you have, but you want it to be that size. And we're going to layer the whole bottom of this with a layer of sauce. Now this is to keep the manicotti from sticking, and also just because it's delicious and it's got some extra beef in there for the day. I'm just gonna lay these beautiful keto manicottis right on that sauce, and you can actually cook it all together. You can cook the Egg Life wraps and the chicken breast together in one casserole dish. So it makes it super convenient, you know, if you want to try both versions at one time. Now it's time to make these manicotti real happy. We're gonna cover the whole thing with some of that beautiful marinara sauce and the ground beef. So you can just dump it right on there like that. And again, like I said, if you don't like as much sauce, just don't use as much sauce. We love a good saucy manicotti. Just make sure you go and spread it all evenly. Try to get it in every little crevice in there, every little nook and cranny, because this is gonna hold the ultimate topping goodness, all that beautiful cheese. Make sure you get a good base layer before we put the cheese on. Now it's time for the topping. Cheese, please. Go ahead and put on some of the mozzarella and the Parmesan. Just use whatever you have left. If you like a little more than what I used in the recipe, you can cover the whole top on there so it's just a continuous piece of cheesy goodness across the whole top of the manicotti. We used to do a lot more cheese than we do now, but for the manicotti, I still like to use a good bit. And there's one thing about me, I can't leave well enough alone. So the cheese just looked like it needed a little something to me. So I like to go and put some parsley on top. Sometimes I'll do it a little more salt and pepper also. Just put whatever you like on there, but the parsley just gives it a great flavor. Oh man, look how beautiful that looks. It's on its way to the final destination. We're about to throw it in the oven. Well, I guess that would be the next to final destination. Final is going to be my stomach. Now, if you're anything like me, you need to set a timer. So I'm going to set my timer to 21 minutes. No, let's just make it 20. 20 minutes, we're good to go. Oh man, after 20 minutes, this thing is looking great. See all that bubbling on there? Absolutely beautiful. Now, if you like your cheese a little more cooked than that, you could leave it in for longer. I kind of like it like this. It's still going to be nice and stringy. It's going to pull when you cut a piece to put on your plate. Oh man. So just cut into it like that. Try to find your little manicotti. You might have to fish around just a little bit if you use this much sauce, but if you don't use as much sauce as I do, then you can easily find them. Let's see how it looks when we pull it away. Oh man, I am telling you, you got to try this. Look at that cheese just wanting to hang on there. You got to pull that off. Now let me know down in the comments if you're a more sauce or a less sauce person, or more cheese or less cheese. Either way is going to be delicious, but I'm just curious to know. And I'm also curious to know if you make my sauce, what you think. There's quite a story behind it, and I just think it's one of the most delicious sauces that I have ever made. This is my sauce recipe forever.
So there you have it, y'all. That's my keto manicotti. Leave a comment down there if you make this and let me know what you think. As a creator myself, I don't have time to watch a lot of people's videos, but one person I don't miss is Chris's. I've been watching his from
just about the very beginning. And among other things, his carnivore mashed potato recipe is now a staple at all my family gatherings, even for the non-keto people. So I really appreciate that. I don't have to make two different things for people anymore. Back to you, Chris.
Victor, your stuff looks so great. I really appreciate you joining me for a little jam session here for this video. That is manicotti done carnivore style, done keto style. If you don't subscribe to Victor over at Southern Keto, I'm gonna put a link to his channel in this description box. Super cool dude. He puts out some great stuff. He does really cool recipes. He does reviews of other people's recipes, great inspirational videos that have a lot of wisdom in them. I really appreciate his channel. And when we were first starting out on keto, I really could have benefited from a channel like his where he was showing a lot of the stuff that he does. So make sure to go give him a follow, subscribe, like, and share all of his stuff because he's just a good dude who's trying to help as many people as he possibly can. We appreciate good people and we need more good people like that in this space. So
True.
Victor, you really rock. We love Southern Keto. We love what you do. Thank you guys so much for watching. All of the Chris Cooking Nashville stuff here as well. All of my links are going to be down below. If you want to support the channel, there's a bunch of ways down there to do that. The recipe for this will be on my website, and I'll see if maybe I can't get Victor's recipe as well. Maybe I can post that for you guys as well, so you can go and maybe get a printable version of his too. Thank you so much for watching. Please go make the manicotti. You guys have an incredible rest of your day. Enjoy some amazing stuff like this. And remember how much we love you, we care about you, and we just want to see you succeed, both here and over at Southern Keto, because that's why we do what we do. Thank you guys for being here. This is Chris Cooking Nashville, my lovely wife, Ash Taylor. Make sure to eat your meat, even if it looks like manicotti. Love your life, and we're going to see you right here in the kitchen for the next recipe.
Do you know the only thing that upsets me? Is I don't get to taste Victor's. But yes.